Hey, board gamers, BJ from Board Game Gumbo here, back with another episode of Gumbo Live, the number one live Facebook Live talk show dedicated to board gaming. Our special guest tonight, Mike Hinson, co-founder of Elk Creek Games. We're going to be chatting with him about Atlantis Rising, another game, Into the Trail, and so much more. Gumbo Live is a proud member of Punchboard Media. Punchboard Media. Check out other fine members like Geekcraft. It's a blog written by Ken Grazia. Ken is a game demoer from Cleveland, Ohio, who you can frequently see at friendly local game stores and conventions all over the country. I was hanging out with him at BGG Con just a week or two ago. He loves talking about games and helping people find the games that you will love. Punchboard Media, where we all bring something to the table. Hit me and Mike up on social media tonight at Board Game Gumbo on Twitter or on Facebook, facebook.com/Board Game Gumbo, and we'll be looking for your questions in the chat. But enough blather. Let's get right to our guest. Hey, Mike Hinson of Elk Creek Games. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, BJ.
Mike, you're a publisher. You know what an elevator pitch is. Give the audience the elevator pitch. Who is Mike Hinson and what is Elk Creek Games?
Okay, so I started playing games as a kid. Playing Clue, Monopoly, the Game of Life, Mousetrap, all that fun stuff. Grew up playing trick-taking games like Spades and Hearts and Pitch, which is kind of like euchre.
Sure.
And then I moved to Champaign, Illinois, and my best friend Brent had been introduced a couple years before to hobby board games, to Carcassonne, Betrayal, Catan, games that people normally start with. And he kind of got me hooked. And then I was introduced on a New Year's Eve to Dominion. And then it was all over from there. that was the gateway game, I guess, into bigger and just crazier games.
It seems like when I talk to people on the show, it seems like so many times it's Catan or it's Dominion or it's Carcassonne, or it's Ticket to Ride. But for whatever reason, Dominion is one of the ones that just keeps coming up. And I wonder, were you ever a Magic player? Is that one of the reasons why?
When I was a kid, I played Magic. And that was like right at the beginning, late 80s, early 90s. But I kind of lost, I started playing video games. I started doing other things. And then the hobby board games, kicked in after that. And one of the games that we'll talk about later, Keyforge, which I played last weekend for the first time, is, crazy. It itches the what Magic felt like to me as a kid, which is awesome.
Hey, Mike, Steve O'Rourke, the name father, checking in. He's one of the executive producers of the show.
Nice.
He is the producer of the show. Says, hello, Mike and BJ, welcome to the show. He is diabolical, and he's got a great Jambalaya game lined up for you later on. So
I heard. I'm a little worried, Steve, but hey, we'll get it taken care of, buddy.
Yeah. So back to Magic the Gathering. It's and we're going to talk about Keyforge, so let's keep that in a little while. But back to Magic the Gathering. It seems like people that have played Magic, when they see Dominion, it scratches that itch right away.
It does.
I get to quickly build a deck. I get to get some card play against people. The game that has done that for me also, besides Dominion, it's Imperial Settlers. When I played Imperial Settlers, for whatever reason, it reminded me a little bit of that Magic vibe.
Imperial Settlers is one of the games that I love. I'm actually waiting for an order so I can get my Amazon's expansion. I see it there. I'm a little jealous right now, but that's all right.
I've been working on all the decks, so can't wait to try it, man. Can't wait to try it. Man, the artwork in this one is really phenomenal. Cool. It's some good artwork.
Nice.
I wonder if, let me not say it. There's a certain big mouse that I would be that might be interested in some of this stuff, but because it sure looks like that movie that came out, but it's not the same. It's not the same, but it's got kind of that flavor. If you like that movie, it's got kind of that flavor. But I guess, hey, I mean, a lot of movies, when they talk about Atlantis, talk about water, they talk about blue, they talk about crystals. So it's not like something that's it's out there,
Right.
So, Elk Creek Games, I'm curious, how did that get started?
So it started with something that happened to Brent. He actually had a very scary health issue. A couple months after his daughter was born in 2014, he had viral meningitis over Christmas, and he almost passed away. What we had decided after that to play more designer games, and then from there it kind of went to, hey, let's try to design games, and then let's publish games. And that started. Yeah, that's how it was born. We went to our first Gen Con, and it was actually my first gaming convention in 2016.
That's the first one I went to.
Yeah,
Gen Con 2016. Yeah,
it was amazing. I've been to a lot since. As a publisher,
sure,
you kind of need to do that to get the word out. So,
speaking of a guy that needs to get to Gen Con,
yeah.
Our buddy Jambalaya is throwing you under the bus. They let anyone on these shows now.
They do, Jeremy, and it's amazing.
How do you know Jeremy?
I actually met Jeremy at Gen Con 2017. He had reached out about getting a review copy of Into the Trail.
Okay.
And he's like, this is going to be one of my first games that I do a blog preview for Kickstarter. So I'm like, dude, yeah, here you go. Handed him one of our last review copies. He wrote up a great review, and after that, our first Kickstarter launched, and the rest is history. We're on Kickstarter number 2 right now for at least the next couple days. So
Jambalaya is my go-to guy if I need to talk to anybody about Kickstarter. I talk to Jeremy almost every week, it seems like, and he's on the show every season. If you haven't seen a Gumbo Live with Jeremy Jambalaya on the show, corralling Jambalaya is pretty tough because he's got so many games he wants to talk about. It's like, Jeremy, we only got an hour, but somehow we do it. We fit in all the games that he wants to talk about. And what I love is, this show is all about passion. And what I love is he brings it every time he comes on the show.
Yeah, Jeremy does a great job, with his blog and also with his live plays as well. That he does over at Board Game Revolution. He just does a great job there.
Sure.
So.
He sure does. Hey, and there's some good thoughts sent from Steve O'Rourke about this story with Brent.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It is a little weird that the first game that you guys published was Into the Trail after that.
It was.
That's kind of a weird title after what happened to Brent.
Well, it wasn't the first game that I would say was in the hopper. But it was the first one that we decided to move forward with publishing. It was my probably second or third design. It was the first one that kind of went further than, hey, I'm playtesting it with buddies. We actually entered it into a game design competition up here in Champaign-Urbana called Kudo Plays. Won the visual design award, and then I went to Brent's, and he's like, do you think we can kickstart this? And without really thinking about it, I'm like, sure, let's do it. And it was the craziest 7 months of my life was getting ready for that Kickstarter. And, I really wouldn't change anything from that experience. And from that, that's how Elf Creek Games came to be. Speaking
of games, you wrote a cool blog post that I wanted people to, if they haven't seen it yet, I want them to check it out, called Why Board Games? Number one, what made you write that? And also, where'd you get the idea for the topic? Why board games?
So one of the things that I constantly am discussing with family and friends is why do you play board games? Or if they hear, hey, I'm a board game publisher, why are you doing that? The reason is very simple. And especially compared to video games. And I know video games, there are MMOs out there where there are communities that play these games now. I just haven't gotten into that. The reason why board games is because I like the human interaction. And if you ever play a game with me, three things will probably happen. One, I will probably lose that game, especially if it's one I designed.
Yeah, welcome to the club.
Exactly. 2, I'm probably going to give you a fist bump, a high five, or a hug, depending on how you feel about it. And then 3, we're going to have probably a chat for 20 minutes. So I love the human interaction that board games brings. And one of the things that we're doing with Elf Creek is we're trying to make a person's favorite game. That's like our goal, you know. If one of our games is your favorite game, that's awesome. Right. But we really just want to give those opportunities to friends and family to really, you know, get to know one another. We're social animals. You know, humans need social interaction, and board games is just a great way to do it.
You know, that's exactly what I wanted you to bring out. One of the things that I love about board games is not only the gaming aspect, and let's face it, we all like playing the games, right?
Oh, I mean, yeah.
You could do a lot of other things and still get still get some of the thrills. But board gaming has the gaming aspect. But what I really like is the social aspect, not only during the games. Because one of the things that someone said to me, why do y'all consider it a social activity? You don't really talk about each other during the game, and they don't get it. It's before the game and after the game that counts just as much. At BGG Con, my normal convention thing is to get up early, play early, and go to bed around midnight. I'm not a late night gamer. And at BGG Con, on the last night, me and Bradley and Carlos stayed up with Alex Goldsmith of the Dukes of Dice till I think it was 2 a.m. playing this game that we're going to talk about just one. And when we got back to the hotel, and there's laughing and we're chatting and we're talking the whole time, and we got back to the hotel, we stayed up another 2 hours. We didn't go to sleep till 3:30 in the morning talking about the games that we just played and how much fun we had and shared experiences from other games. And it just reminds me that that's the coolest thing about board gaming is, you know, talking to other people about the experiences. Do you really get that from a movie or a book? Not, you know, just not as often, I'll say. Right.
Yeah, it's true.
Not like a board. So if you haven't checked it out, you know, if the audience hasn't checked it out, make sure to check out Mike's blog post on why board games. What's the quickest way for them to find your blog?
If you go to medium.com and just search, just search why board games, it should pop up.
It wasn't that hard. Hey, we always like to talk about spicy games. BJ from Board Game Gumbo here. I've got my guest Mike Hinson from Elf Creek Games. We love talking about spicy games of 2018. And the number one game that's on the list on that show notes that we have is one I definitely want to talk to you about. It's burning up. It's burning up everywhere. It's on social media. I'm talking about Keyforge. Mike.
There it is.
Tell us about your experience with Keyforge so far.
Well, I've played twice and lost twice, but you'll figure out that's a theme. I really don't care about winning. I just care about having fun.
Sure.
So I was in St. Louis for Thanksgiving last weekend. And I met up with a local designer. His name's Paul Solomon, and we play tested one of his games. And then he's like, "Hey, I brought 2 Keyforge decks." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? You brought Keyforge?" I'm like,
"Do I have your? Is that one of your decks that I have up there? I'm not sure, but
it might be. It kind of looks familiar. It looks like one of Paul's decks. It might be one of mine. I'm not sure." But
hey, Jesse Fernandez checking in. What's up, Jesse? Thanks for checking in on the show.
Hey, what's up, Jesse? But yeah, I was like, yeah, I've been trying to play it. So yeah, let's go ahead and play it. So broke it out in a coffee shop in one of the suburbs down in St. Louis, and I immediately drove to Miniature Market and bought 2 packs.
So what is attracting you to Keyforge? Just as opposed to all the other games that are out there. I mean, it seems like there's a million card games. Why Keyforge?
So Keyforge, the unique aspect, really, with the unique deck system, kind of stepped up. I actually discussed that with Jamie from Stonemeyer Games and also J.R. Honeycutt for a little bit during Design Day this year, about kind of the uniqueness of the game. So that was the first reason. Second reason, I love Hearthstone. I'd play that on my phone whenever I get some time to kill. And this is a great version or a great kind of complementary game to Hearthstone. So yeah, that would be the main reason why I was drawn to it. And you still get a little bit of the magic itch that I had as a kid. So, yeah, those are the main reasons.
We debated at BGG Con. You know, one of the guys said, and he's a net decker. He's got an amazing ability to just, you know, look at all the cards that are available and craft these decks, put them up on the net. He's won tournaments. I mean, he's really good at it. He's really good at putting decks together. And he's like, I'm not seeing it with this game. But for me, who started Magic way in the early Wild days, way back when, I think I started playing when Antiquities came out, if I remember right. That's the first expansion I remember. So we're talking number 2. Mm-hmm. And the way we played the game was simple. We all had one deck.
Right.
We might have had a couple of boosters here and there, but what you got in that box is what you had to make. You made your deck out of that, right? Mm-hmm. And we played each other. There was a little bit of trading. If you had a black card, that and you didn't have much swamp in your deck, well, then maybe it's not something you could use. So you might trade it to somebody in exchange for a color you could use. Right. But that was few and far between. You played out of your deck, and if you wanted a new experience, you bought a new deck. Mm-hmm. So
definitely
that appealed to me right away. It felt like the original version of Magic that Richard Garfield said he designed. It was supposed to be limited cards, play out of your box, and the social aspect of trading. Now the trading is out with this, with this game with Keyforge, but that joy of popping open a deck and going, man, there's some combos in here. I just got to find them. That's Magic to me.
Oh yeah. I really have enjoyed my couple of plays so far. I don't know if there's any like tournaments up here in Champaign, but once the Kickstarter is over, I probably will find one if they have one. So
Marshall Wells is checking in from the Sinlaw game group. He's been to St. Louis, and he says he's been to a place called Pieces. I know you used to live in St. Louis.
Yes.
And I've heard about Pieces. Have you been back and played at Pieces?
We had a couple of events at Pieces for Into the Trail right before the Kickstarter and during the Kickstarter, actually. And then, as I mentioned, going to Stonemeyer Games Design Day, that is hosted at Pieces. So I've been there a few times. Pieces is a great location, right in Soulard.
I didn't realize that's where the Design Day. How many times have you been to that Design Day?
2, maybe no 3. Sorry, 3 times.
And if I got it right, look, and there's Steve O'Rourke. That's why he's the name father and the producer.
There it is.
A blog entry for people to find. So, from what I understand, the Design Day is not just for designers. Jamie also needs as many players there so that people can try your games, right?
Exactly. So, one of the things that you'll do if you bring a design, you will go ahead and you'll have sessions for your game. So you might have two sessions, and then you'll be playing everybody else's games. This year was the first out of the 3 years I haven't brought a design, and I was just playing other people's designs, games I'm very excited about that I won't talk about right now, but it's an amazing event down there in St. Louis, and really just the board game design crowd down there is amazing. A lot of up and comers are going through there. One of which that we're working with is Brian Surrey, designer Coldwater Crown. So
yes,
and actually that picture is at Pieces.
Oh, okay. And that's Brian on the left, correct?
Brian's on the left. Paul, the guy who played me in Keyforge, is on the right. And that is a prototype of Brian's. And that is Brent taking the picture. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't smile that much apparently in pictures. So I don't know what I'm doing. So
everyone looks happy except Mike.
Yeah, I was probably losing by like 20 points by then. So
I got to meet Brian this weekend not this weekend, but the last weekend at BGG Con. Jake and Danielle from the Draft Mechanic podcast have been talking about this game Coldwater Crown for like a year, and it sounded right up my alley because I love worker placement games. I love Euro style games, especially if they have a cool theme. And have you played Coldwater Crown?
I have, yeah.
Okay. When I didn't know anything about this flipping mechanic. I mean, they can describe it all they want, but I never could quite grok it. And when Brian starts teaching us the game, and Dennis is just smiling, man, the first round was rough. But once we got past the first round, we figured out how diabolical that little flipping mechanism was. And you could stick people with the wrong side, and you could stick the wrong colors whenever that's the color they really wanted. Oh, We just had a blast playing it. I would have played it again. It went from, this was supposed to be just the Gumbo guys and also Ninja, Jeremy, the Game Geek Ninja was with us.
Mhm.
And we were supposed to just go over there, do a quick demo of 5 minutes and talk about Bellwether Games. We ended up playing the entire full game, and we bought 2 copies right there.
Nice.
So that could tell you how much we really enjoyed meeting with Brian. Number one, he's a great game teacher.
Mhm.
And boy, that guy seems like he's got a lot of passion.
Oh yeah, he's a great guy. We're actually going to Protospiel Madison this weekend up in Madison, Wisconsin, to work on some games, and Brian's going to be coming with us. So really excited, to hang out with him, and just he's just a really nice guy.
This is BJ from Board Game Gumbo here, Gumbo Live. I've got my guest Mike Hinson from Elf Creek Games, and there's a game on your list that I really want to talk about. I got a picture of it too. I think it's from your play.
Yeah, that was from my second play.
Teotihuacan.
Yes.
I think I've got it. I think I've been practicing this for a couple of weeks. Teotihuacan. I did not get to play it at BGG Con. Tell the folks, yay, nay, what'd you like about it? What'd you think of the game?
This is probably my game of the year for 2018.
Wow.
And I'm horrible at it, but that's fine. Teotihuacan is a game themed around the Aztec city of Teotihuacan. And it is designed by one of the co-designers of one of my favorite games, Zolkin.
Okay.
Zolkin is a worker placement game. Teotihuacan is a game, a rondel game. Other awesome for whatever reason, I can't think of rondel games right now. Trajan.
Captains of the Gulf by Jason Dinger.
See, okay. One of the people that
Jason told me about Teotihuacan. So now that you say it's got a rondel, that tells me right there. But how about this? Some Matt Gertz games. Those
definitely. Navigador was a big one. But you're building up the pyramid in Teotihuacan. You're gaining resources. You're building steps. You're building houses. You're doing everything that you love to do in a Euro. And in this game that the picture's from, I think the person next to Brent, who is the one in the Elf Creek shirt, ended up winning by like 30 points. I think this was early on in the game when it didn't feel like it was a blowout yet. But I can't say enough about this game. I actually bought that copy as a gift for Brent as part of my Dice Settlers pledge, and then I ended up buying a copy for myself with my Snowdonia pledge with NSKN Games. So,
here's what I wanted to ask you about it. I didn't get a chance to play it, even though it was on my list to play BGG Con. Mm-hmm. But I talked to one of the guys that watches the show, Nick Elkins, and I also talked to Jason Dinger, the designer of Captains of the Gulf. I talked to them both because they both got to play Teotihuacan, I'm pretty sure, at the con or before. Mm-hmm. And what I like to hear, I haven't played Zolkin, although it's been played at our Gumbo game nights, and I've seen it. I haven't got a chance to play it. It looks a little bit intimidating, Frank, with the wheel. But both Nick and Jason said, hey, Teotihuacan, very much more accessible as a game than Zolkin. What do you think?
I would agree. It is more accessible, in my opinion, which can be wrong, of course. I kind of feel like rondel games are a little more accessible than worker placement games, especially for new players, because it's easier to teach. And in Zolkin, you've got so many worker placement spots and the wheel and all that. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to scare you in that game. Even I love the game. And the first time I played it, Brent and I actually looked at each other like, what is going on? Like, I think we scored 5 points total through the first half of the game. But, I mean, I think it's apples to oranges. But, yeah.
I mean, either Jason or Nick said, hey, it's basically move your worker and take that action.
Yeah, that's all it is. Move on the rondel, do the action.
Move on the rondel and do the action.
Yeah.
So that's Teotihuacan. Mike Hinson says maybe his favorite game, maybe his spiciest game of 2018.
Yes.
Fair?
That definitely fair.
I'm impressed. I don't have a picture of it, but you did mention the game Dice Settlers. That was actually played at our Gumbo game night just 3 weeks ago. So I got to see it. I might have a picture of it somewhere. I'll try to find it. But, that one looks really cool on the table, but I know nothing about this game. Tell me about Dice Settlers.
It's a dice action drafting 4X game for an hour and a half.
Wow.
And it's loosely themed in the American West from what I've seen. The art is from the Miko, which he did the art. I'm actually looking at Architects of the West Kingdom on my kitchen table right now. He did the art for that and for Raiders.
I like the Miko.
He's amazing.
Style. Yeah.
And it's just a very fun game. There's multiple ways to score, multiple paths to victory for Dice Settlers, which is always something that you want to see in a 4X, or really you want to see in any game. But it's a great game. I can't wait to get it to the table again. And since Jeremy might still be watching, Jeremy did a great job talking about the solo play, which I tried to tackle, but I tried to do that at about midnight on a weeknight, and I wasn't gonna. That didn't work out. So
I didn't realize it had a solo one, so I'm gonna have to check that out. And yeah, Jambalaya is still watching, so Jambalaya, kudos to you. I got to check that out. Apparently, he's got a solo playthrough or just.
I don't know if he did the playthrough. I know that like in the different Facebook groups, he definitely did post about it. I think he was talking about doing a playthrough for it if he hasn't yet.
Yeah, I got to check that out. Dice Settlers, the idea that you can get a big 4X game down into an hour and a half and still look really cool on the table, not just be a card-based game, because there are a lot of card-based 4X games that you can play in an hour, but they don't really feel like the big, giant exploration and exploitation games. You're telling me it sounds like that they pulled this off.
Oh, yeah. I think they did. And
Jeremy's checking in. He says, Architects of the West Kingdom and Teotihuacan making a late charge for his Game of the Year discussion.
Oh, Jeremy, we're going to have a chat, buddy. I agree with you on both of those, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, Architects of the West Kingdoms is a great spin on worker placement, kind of like how Raiders was a great spin on worker placement. So
I haven't played any of those Kingdom games. The one that entices me the most is definitely Architects. It sold out right away at BGG Con. I don't even know if they had any copies. If they did, it was sold out the first day, and we didn't even have a chance at getting it. But man, I don't know why. The art style looks really great on the box.
Oh yes, yeah, and they did a great job with it. Shim Phillips and I believe the other designer, Sean McDonald, just did a phenomenal job with that game.
BJ from Board Game Gumbo Live here. I've got my guest Mike Hinson from Elf Creek Games. Mike, there's a game on my list that I want to talk to you about, and then we're going to get right to Elf Creek Games' output. I want to talk to you about a crazy game that we played. I got to credit Alex Goldsmith from the Dukes of Dice and Gray Fox Games, who introduced us to this party game called Just One. Have you heard anything about it?
Not until you mentioned it. No, I have not heard anything about it.
All right, so it's from Repos Production. Repos puts out a lot of cool games, as you know. Belgian company, French or Belgian? I think it's Belgian. What's fascinating me about this game is that it's a party game and it's designed by two guys. God, I got to look it up. I don't want to get their game wrong. It's designed by two guys. I remember it now. I'm pretty sure it's the same designers as Seventh Continent. Now, I know you've heard of Seventh Continent, right?
Yeah, I'm waiting for my pledge. So
Ludovic Rowdy and Bruno Sauter, I think that's the two guys that were involved in. As far as I know, that's the two designers that were involved in Seventh Continent.
Yeah,
this huge game. Some people have called Game of the Year. Some people called one of the best campaign games ever made. Some people not on everybody's list, but on a lot of people's list. A game I haven't played yet. But to think that those guys also have the talent to make the simplest party game you've ever heard. Let me give you the quick pitch.
Okay.
One person is the guesser. They don't know what the clue word is. Say the clue word is continent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else at the table knows the clue word, and they have to give the guesser a one-word clue. But none of those clues can match. So if the word is continent and you say Africa and another person says America and the third person says America, then only Africa is the only clue that the guesser gets to look at. So when it's diabolical, as the guesser, you're stressful because you see all these guesses, all these clues, and you got to try to come up with the name. Mm-hmm. And you're doing this in cooperation. You have 13 cards and you try to get as many as you can out of those 13. So everybody's working on the same team and you feel that heat. But as the clue givers, you're really stressing because you want to think of the best clue you can with one word, but it can't be so obvious. Everyone else is going to use it. And then no one gets through and we lose the game. So I'm playing this game when Alex teaches us. I'm going, wait, it can't be that simple. We play it. We play the game, I think 8 or 9 times. I'm not kidding. Back to back to back, broken up a little bit with some Keyforge, but back to back, we play this game with the table is lava until 1:30 or 2 in the morning, laughing the entire time. And I'm looking at Alex going, no one's invented this already? The game it's like code names. It reminds me of that there are still games out there with simple mechanics that are waiting to be discovered.
Oh yeah, definitely.
What do you think? Is that something up your alley? Just one. Just one.
It sounds like I would definitely play it once or twice. I am not the biggest party game fan, but I'm willing to play them. I think my favorite one is it's not really a party game, but Resistance Avalon.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I'd be willing to give it a shot.
Well, all the Resistance games, they make me sweat, but I love playing them. It's a great experience. It's a great social experiment. But
definitely,
this is there aren't many cooperative party games that I would really want to spend any time, and that's why I think these guys have just done, I don't know, just a brilliant job. So if you get a chance, get out there. Yep, nice. Try it out there. Steve, the name father's checking in. He says, if they can go from the deep of Seventh Continent to the clean party fun of just one, that is practically Inca and Marcus Brand level of range. And that's a good point. Steve, that's a good point. Vlada Schwadl, the brands, and now the people from Seventh Continent, they're showing a lot of range in their game design, right?
Yeah, another guy that does that works with Repost a lot is Antoine.
Can you pin down Antoine Boza and Bruno Cathala to any one style game? I mean,
no.
Bruno made Shadows of Camelot, and then he also makes these little tiny party games.
Yeah.
Antoine has everything from Rock Band Manager all the way all the way to Victorian Masterminds with Eric Lang. I mean, all these great games. So I love people with range, and those guys have it.
Definitely.
BJ from Board Game Gumbo Live here. I'm talking to Mike Hinson from Elf Creek Games. Mike, you were nice enough, your company was nice enough to send me a review copy of a game called Into the Trail, and we had a lot of fun playing the game. We actually did a review for you guys on Into the Trail after playing it. We brought it out to Gumbo Game Night and played it a lot. I had a couple of quibbles about it. I didn't see eye to eye on the art style, which, again, art is subjective. I had no problem. But what I didn't have a problem with is the integration of the poker mechanic and the Wild West theme and the use of the towel cards and the exploring. I thought you guys did a good job of putting that all together. But what was the impetus behind Into the Trail? How did all that come about?
So, well, first, thank you for your review. We definitely appreciated that. And thanks for just getting the word out on the game. We really appreciate that. And, that's part of what I really love about this industry is if you like a game, you go, you're gonna bring it to the masses. So Into the Trail was designed for a design competition in Champaign, and my first thought for the game was not the Gold Rush. My first thought was I want to make a game based on the Oklahoma Land Rush.
Oh.
And then
Sooners or bust, man.
Exactly. But then I thought about it, and I'm like, that might not be the best theme if we actually want to do something with this. So we changed it to the Old West. And we went through 6 months, and we ended up winning the Visual Design Award with Kudo Plays. And then we decided, let's go full bore with this. And we started playtesting the heck out of it. We hired a graphic designer who also did some of the art, Peter Woken. He's with Maple Games now.
Sure.
And then we we worked with a local artist from St. Louis, Royce, to do the box cover and the tile art and the card backs. And Royce also helped play test the game. He's a really nice guy. He works down in St. Louis. He's a designer down there. So we decided to go full bore. We started taking it to conventions. We took it to Geekway to the west down in St. Louis.
Sure.
Played it with the guys from Doomsday Robots, Bryn and John. They're actually running a Kickstarter right now for Zoography. Yep, they're out of Dallas, and Geekway is one of the conventions they go to. So they gave us a ton of feedback. And then we're like, what's next? So then we just drop some money and we go to Origins, and we get an entrepreneurial booth at Origins and demo the game until our feet feel like they're going to fall off and we can hardly stand. And then, hey, what's next? Let's go to Gen Con and go to the First Exposure Playtest Hall, which for any young designers, that is a great way to get quality feedback because people go to that room to playtest games.
Vinny brings in a lot of designers in there, and so
yes,
there is a lot of thinking power in that room.
Vinny does a great job.
Yep.
Great job with that, and with everything that Double Exposure does. He's a phenomenal person. And then we are getting ready for the Kickstarter, and I forget the name of the hurricane, but there was a hurricane right in the middle of September last year that hit Florida. I want to say it's Hurricane Irma. I could be wrong, but it hit right around the Tampa area, right in the middle of August. And the guy who was designing and working on our Kickstarter video lives in Tampa.
Oh.
So whenever the hurricane shifted to Tampa, we're like, uh-oh. And, Bryce, he also did the video for Atlantis Rising. He was very like, oh, man, I'm sorry. There's going to be a delay. And we're like, dude, just get to safety. Be safe. Right. We're delaying the campaign. Just get to safety and be careful. Take a few days, do whatever you want. And then like the next day after landfall, he's driving around looking for a Panera where he can work on our video. And we're like, dude, don't worry about it. And then we also worked with Daniel Zayas on our first campaign. He had just moved to the Panhandle, so he was dealing with that. And Mike from Coalition Game Studios, who's in Orlando, was doing our blind playtesting. He was dealing with the hurricane, and all this was a week before our scheduled launch. And then we pushed it back to the beginning of October, launched October 3rd, funded day 1. Which was an amazing experience. And fantastic. Yeah, I mean, we did a retail release at Origins this year. From the guys who were at Origins, it was a fantastic show. And then we partnered with Gon over at Thundergriff Games. He allowed us to sell out of his booth at Gen Con. So we got some sales out of Gen Con, and now that leads us to the next game.
The next big project.
Which is going on.
That's right. BJ from Board Game Gumbo here. I've got my guest, Mike Hinson from Elf Creek Games, and you guys are in the middle of a Kickstarter. I do want to thank you for coming on the show right near here at the end. You've got a game that's coming out that just looks fantastic. I actually got the Kickstarter page up.
Okay.
Atlantis Rising. What was the impetus behind finding this almost undiscovered gem that not a lot of people knew about, but there was some people in the board game media who really were champions for this game?
And one of those champions is how we heard about the game, and that's Z Garcia with the Dice Tower. He absolutely loves this game. This game is still rated in his top 100 of all time. And Brent one day was just looking around, watching some videos from the Dice Tower, trying to find a co-op game that was not Pandemic or not like Pandemic, like a different co-op game. He came across Ghost Stories from Antoine Bauza, and he also came across Atlantis Rising. And we were trying to get a copy of the game. We ended up getting a copy August of last year, or no, July of last year. Played it a couple times. Brent had contacted Galen, the designer of the game, to see if we could, get it signed so we can bring it back to life. And we had a stipulation in our contract that we had to fund successfully a Kickstarter before the end of 2017 in order to work on Atlantis Rising.
Really? Okay.
And because we were new, we were new to the industry. Atlantis Rising is Galen's only design, so I understand why he was like, hey, we gotta make sure that you guys are legit. And then when Into the Trail funded day one, we went full steam ahead with Atlantis Rising.
I was looking on his game page. I didn't see any other games, so this is only game design.
Yeah, it's definitely. It's his only game design, and we are happy to be bringing it back to life.
I saw another champion that you have, and I've got a picture that I threw up here. Mm-hmm. I think that's Brent, and if I got the right guy, it looks like Jamie Stegmaier there on the left with the bright orange shirt.
Yes, that is Jamie Stegmaier. And then...
Is this a Geekway?
This is a Geekway, day one of Geekway. So the two other men that you can see in that picture are Josh and Bryn from Doomsday Robots.
Okay.
And then next to Brent is one of our playtesters, Katie. She is also one of the leaders or collaborators for Kudo Plays up in Champaign. And then Derek Funkhauser is right behind her. You can barely see Derek.
Yeah, I can see.
But yeah, Jamie's been very helpful in our road to publishing. And yeah, he really wanted to try it out. They played a 6-player game. I believe they lost that, and I got a picture sent to me because I couldn't make Geekway of them being very sad about that defeat. But yeah, that was one of the first games that Brent had brought to Geekway.
So
one of the first games for that, yeah.
Atlantis Rising, cooperative game. How long does it take?
I would say 60 minutes to 120 minutes, depending on player count.
And it plays up to how many people?
Plays, because of this Kickstarter, it plays 1 to 7.
Hey, my buddy Jason from the North Shore. There's a big Lake Pontchartrain over here in Louisiana, north of New Orleans, and Jason's up on the North Shore. And he says, if you have the original Atlantis Rising, should you get the new one? Well, Jason, I'm going to say yes. But I've got a reason, not just because Mike's on the show. Vincent Dutré, as we say, is one of my favorite board game artists in the world. And somehow, I want to hear this story. Somehow, Mike Hinson's got Vincent Dutré on this artwork. And Mike, this artwork rocks. I'm telling you. Vincent
he knocked it out of the park on this. I would love to take credit for this, but I'm not going to.
Okay.
Brent cares a ton about art, and he was the one who contacted Vincent. And we got a quote, and we're like, wow, this is definitely worth it for this game. And he's been a blast to work with. We also partnered with Peter Gifford for the graphic design. He was the graphic designer behind Tales of Arabian Nights.
Ah, okay.
So it's, from a creative side, that has been a blast. And from a playtesting side, which is kind of where I was at, it's been a blast too. So
Jason says, "Hey, I've got the old
yeah.
one in my closet. It's never played." Jason, if it's still in shrink wrap, sell it for twice what you paid and use the money to back Atlantis Rising.
Right.
Because you want this
Yes.
artwork. No, and it sounds like I'm Josh, and of course I'm being funny, but I gotta show this artwork.
Oh yeah.
This is just some gorgeous artwork. But what I am curious about is the gameplay, though. The artwork can be beautiful. I've got a couple of games on my shelf here where the artwork is beautiful, but I never play the game because gameplay was just lacking. What, who is the target market for this? Who's the target audience for this Atlantis Rising? Who is going to enjoy this game?
I feel that there are multiple audiences for the game. One is the gamer that loves co-op games. One of the things that we want to do as Elf Creek Games is we want to bring a co-op game to, different co-op games to people. And there is a huge group of people that love playing co-op games. I also think for the serious gamer, there are a lot of crunchy decisions in this game. Yes, there is dice rolling, which might scare people, but it shouldn't, because there are multiple ways to mitigate the dice rolling. And then for, I would say, gateway gamers, this is a great game to kind of introduce to new players, especially those. There's 5 difficulty levels. We recommend for newer players, start on easy, work your way up. So it's very streamlined, and it's simple enough to where you should be able to learn it without an issue and enjoy it from the get-go.
All right, so what are we talking about on the hard level? You mentioned ghost stories. Are we talking ghost stories, or Aeon's End level of it's going to be tough to beat, or where do you put it in that pantheon?
I would say pandemic level.
Okay.
So normal on pandemic is right where our normal is.
Okay.
Our designer Galen is a huge fan of ghost stories, but it's not to that level. I'd say solid pandemic.
So Steve O'Rourke, the Name Father, says, "Hey, the asterisk-shaped board is intriguing. Curious to hear how that interacts with the game's mechanics. From what I can tell from the videos, what that is that's the peninsulas or the stretches of land that stretch out, and there's a tile mechanic that slowly has the land receding. Is that what's going on?"
That is what's going on. So it's like it is called the misfortune phase. So every round you're going to be placing your workers, and then the next step is the misfortune phase. So you're going to be turning over cards from a deck, and that will tell you what areas of the island sink. And what you do is, at that point, let's say I turn over a libraries card. Then I'm going to take the outermost library tile and flip it to show the flooded side. So that's why we have the asterisk size board. And we didn't know if we wanted to keep that, and then we started taking it to design conventions and other conventions, and the amount of looks that we got, there was no way we were changing the board style. No way.
So y'all have actually tried changing it.
We thought about it, and then we're like, no, we can't do it because it was so eye-catching that it would have taken a lot from the table presence to change it, and we recognized early on that wasn't going to happen.
My buddy Jeff from Auburn checking in. Misfortune phase sounds like my life. Jeff, you're going to appreciate this. We got the whole SEC here.
You're not kidding.
Mike's the Tennessee fan. Jeff's the Aub fan. And, of course, my poor Tigers after that. I don't want to talk about that game this weekend.
Well, hey, at least right now we don't have a Bama fan on here, so that's good.
Yeah, that's right.
I think we can the 3 of us can agree on that.
we definitely can do that. Atlantis Rising, sort of the opposite of what happened with the Tigers at the end of that game. So the Atlantis Rising, it's out on Kickstarter right now. Mike, how much longer is the game going to be out on Kickstarter?
The Kickstarter ends Friday evening at 11 p.m. Central Standard Time, I guess. So,
and when's delivery expected?
We are expecting by August of 2019.
Based on the pictures I'm seeing, you guys have already got a lot of the assets done, it looks like.
Yeah, we do have a lot of the art assets done. So we're hoping to get pre-press going pretty quickly and then get the ball rolling and, get the games to backers so we can get the games, out at conventions.
And that is Atlantis Rising, out on Kickstarter right now from Elf Creek Games. Their second game after the successful Kickstarter from with End of the Trail. It's got a designer that guys like Z and Jamie Stegmeyer have talked really highly about the way this design came out, and you've added on some incredible artwork from Vincent Dutrait. So, people haven't heard of Atlantis Rising. Make sure you check that out.
Definitely.
All right, this is a board game show, right, Mike?
Oh, yeah.
And as a board game show, what we got to do? We got to play a game, right?
That's right.
One of the games that we play on this show, is Jambalaya. And I told you a little bit about it before the show. It's a game where we mash up a board game and some kind of topic, Mm-hmm. In this case, I'm told that you like music. Are you a music fan?
I do like music, yes.
So the diabolical name father, Steve O'Rourke, went through your list of games, the games you have on BGG.
Oh, geez.
And added some and did some mashups. Now, I'm gonna go one that's I don't think is on your list, so we'll just use this as an example, right?
Okay.
How about if I told you, and this will give you a chance, and don't forget, we're not throwing you under the bus. You're going to be competing against the there it is, Chris Train, designer of Asking for Troubles, who's a graphic designer, by the way. Graphic design on In the Trail. You guys did it's carried all the way through that project. Obviously, Peter really cared about that. So, but how about this one? Let's give you an example, and that way you can, before you have to really compete against. No, Jeremy, we did not name the game after you. You named the game after you. You named the game after our game. No, he definitely Jambalaya came before that, but our Louisiana dish came before all of that, Jeremy. So,
yes.
Here we go. So, starter question. Mick and Slick do steampunk in this new Gray Fox game. If that were the clue, any idea what game we'd be talking about?
I would go City of Gears.
Yeah, so that's the game. What do you think the mashup is, though?
Oh, my gosh.
Mick and Slick. Do those names sound familiar at all? I'll give you a hint.
Well, it sounds like I want to say Jefferson Airplane.
You're on a Jefferson Starship.
Starship,
Airplane.
Yeah.
That's right. Mick and Grace Slick.
Yep.
That was the two lead singers of the later function. So that would be We Built This City of Gears.
Okay, I was about to say On Rock and Roll. That's
true. So that's how the game is played. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm probably going to be bad at it, but let's give it a shot.
Mike, are you ready to compete against the crew, the chat crew, in the Jambalaya game?
Sure.
All right, let's go with the first one.
Okay.
If Weird Al, one of my favorite artists, if Weird Al, at least when I was younger, or Nirvana, for that matter, ever did a tough co-op game, what would it be called?
Weird Al or Nirvana did a tough co-op game. Spirit Island.
So he's got the game, chat.
Got the game.
Tell you, crew, he's already on the game. What's the mashup, though?
Well,
Weird
it's okay.
Nirvana.
Smells Like Teen Spirit from Nirvana. And I don't know enough Weird Al to know what the Weird Al song is. So that's just...
Well, he did parodies.
He did.
So you're right there. You just got to put them together.
I can't. Yeah. Okay. I can't think of the island.
So Chris is right on it. Smells Like Spirit Island or Smells Like Teen Spirit Island.
Yeah.
So that's the game. Smells Like Teen Spirit Island. Mike, you were right there. You had the game.
I know.
You had the song.
I know. I just couldn't do it.
You just had to put them together. All right, let's go to the next one.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to take a drink of water in this one. Steve likes to torture me with games he knows that I'm going to sing. So I don't know if you know the songs. We're just going to throw this out there. But it's from a game you own.
Okay.
Cold Northeast French beer just ain't no good for jealous. I tried it night after night. You're playing board games with someone else down in Lyon. Does this town ever cross your mind? So anyway.
Is it Orleans? Is it Orleans the game?
It's not Orleans. It's not Orleans.
Okay.
But does that song sound familiar at all, or was my trashy vocals just ruining it?
It does not sound familiar, BJ. I'm sorry.
All right, I figured that. So that's an old George Strait song from the 80s.
Okay.
Probably, I figured a guy from South Illinois would know some George Strait.
You know what?
When I drove through South Illinois.
When I was a kid, I used to sing "All My Exes Live in Texas" all the time.
There it is.
Yeah.
That's not the right song.
It's not the right song.
But you're actually pretty close. It's not that far. I'll give you a hint there. When you said "All My Exes in Texas," you're actually pretty close there. I think this is going to be a tough one there, Steve O'Rourke. We probably started out with a hard one. I don't see the chat room chatting in. Anybody got an idea on this one?
Steve, you're stumping everybody. All
right. So if I gave you the song, it's "Does Fort Worth Ever Cross Your Mind"? Does that help? Does that ring a bell to any? Jeff says, it's not an obscure George Strait song. He says it's got limited audience bill. Maybe on this show, but it's not an obscure George Strait song.
No, it doesn't bring anything to mind. It actually makes me think about TCU football, but that's not what we're talking about here.
All right, I think I'm going to have to call this one. We're going to give Chris the first one on the Team Spirit, but on this one, I think the game's a winner. It's Bell Fort Worth.
Oh.
Does Bell Fort Worth ever cross?
Man, hopefully Sin's not watching this.
All right.
Or the guys from TMG.
Man, these might be too many 80s songs here, Steve. That's stuff that you and I could get, and I'm not sure if the audience can get this.
We built this city, so.
Okay, now Steve reminds me that I came up with this one. That's right. He is up in New York, which I found out from an earlier show. Did you know is really close to Manitoba? Not really, but so Cyndi Lauper didn't like the theme in Through the Desert. Are you familiar with that game, Through the Desert, by Dr. Rainer Knizia? Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I haven't played it, but I know.
Okay. It's got camels in it.
Yep.
Cyndi Lauper didn't like the theme in Through the Desert, but she loves this new one, this brand new one from Dr. Rainer Knizia.
The game is Blue Lagoon.
He's on it, Steve. He's on it. So what?
I don't know Cyndi Lauper songs. The only one I know is "Girls Just Want to Have Fun." Is the only
New
one.
York City. Yes. Is that the only Cyndi Lauper song?
That's the only one I know.
Wow. Okay.
My family was like into Led Zeppelin and Skynyrd, man. And says
we might have some stuff for you then as we scroll down this list. So Steve says the power of the 80s. Okay, how about this? The song, Chris Strain, very close. True Blue Lagoon. And by the way, True Colors, not a lot of people know this. The music for True Colors by Cyndi Lauper, done by the Hooters from Philadelphia, which is where PAX Unplugged is. That's the Hooters playing on that album. If you listen to them, it's the Hooters. Cyndi Lauper didn't have a band at the time, and the studio musicians were actually the Hooters. So, no, it's not True Blue Lagoon, but you're close. I'll give you a hint. 80s classic cult movie that sounds a little bit like Blue Lagoon. That's the hint I'm going to give you.
The Goonies. It's the song from the Goonies. I picture it. They got Brandon tied up.
That's the one. That's the video. Oh man, he's right on it. Can he pull it out?
No, I can't. I don't know the name. I'm not going to cheat either, BJ.
No cheat. Come on, chat room.
Come on, chat.
You can steal this one. Who knows the song from the Goonies that matches up with Blue Lagoon? He's got the song.
I just don't know the name of it.
No, Jesse. Close. It's not Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
No.
Not Goonie. Oh, he's singing it, Steve. Right. It's so close.
Steve said give it to. All right. I mean, if I'm humming this song.
You got the hum. I'm going to give you the title. It's The Blue Lagoonies Are Good Enough.
Oh.
Good
You're
enough.
right.
So that is, yeah, we're going to give you that one. We're going to give you that one. So Mike is on the scoreboard. We got a tie here with him and Chris.
Rough, guys. Me and Chris.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. You're not going to go zero on this one. All right, here's a good one here. You told me that you've never been to New Orleans, but there is a house in New Orleans. It's made of cookie dough. There is a house in New Orleans. It's made of cookie dough.
I'm assuming.
It's what?
Gingerbread House is the game.
Gingerbread House. What's the song?
I don't know. I'm bad at titles. Oh, BJ. Oh. Chris Strain's got the song now. Can he mash it up? Can he mash it up? Somebody. Anybody got a mash up there? We got Jeff Aldridge sneaking it in. He's got Gingerbread House of the Rising Sun. Oh, wow.
That's it. Oh, Chris, a dime too late. Sorry about that. Chris Strain was right behind it. You had the game and he had the song, but Jeff put it together.
Chris, we would make a great team, buddy.
You guys would make it. You guys need to get together on a game.
Hey, you never know.
All right, so here's the next one. Scott Whelan. Do you know Scott Whelan? Have you ever heard of him?
Scott Whelan from Stone Temple Pilots?
Could be. So he certainly left a legacy, right?
Yeah.
Quotes, right? Okay. In such a short career, I wonder if he would have liked worker placement. Now, if that's not enough hints, Mike, that's all I can do for you. Scott Whelan certainly left a legacy in a short career.
So the game is Charterstone, but I'm trying to figure out how that ties in.
Doesn't have to be a song title. Could be something else related to him.
It's Charterstone Temple Pilots.
There it is.
It is.
Nicely, Mike, that was nicely done.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
I even mentioned it earlier.
You did. I was like, oh, he's gonna come up with that. All right, here we go. Ready for another one?
Sure.
Oh, everybody's jumping in on the bandwagon. No, Mike was the first one in. Nice job though by Jeff and Chris to jump in there. So, the Jarl of Bohemian Rhapsody. What song is that?
The Jarl?
The Jarl of the Bohemian Rhapsody.
We Are the Champions of Midgard.
There it is. Oh, he's on a roll. He's on a roll. That one threw you for a loop for a second, though.
It did, but I'm like, okay, it's got to be We Are the Champions and Jarl. That's a great game. Gray Fox Games.
Great game from Gray Fox Game. I got to play it recently. I'm gonna try to get it out this weekend. So yeah. Oh, Jeff liked that one. Nice. All right. So if you like books and 1970s singer-songwriters, then you got a friend.
For James Taylor. If I like books. Fire in the Library. Fire in the Library.
Fire! Oh my! We're gonna have to close this game down. Chat room, he's just smoking you guys. Wow!
That one, I had to think about that one.
Yeah, but it seems like the wheels are turning, and you've kind of ratcheted in on this game.
You brought up James Taylor, and I mean he's excellent. I really like James Taylor.
All right, let me see if I can pull one here. Man, I wish I had some more water. This is gonna be a tough one. Me and some guys from Germany had a band and we tried real hard. Uwe quit. Rosenberg got married. I should have known we'd never get far. Sorry, I had to throw that one in. That's not a Steve one. That's a BJ one. Does that song sound familiar at all? I know I was trashing it, but
yeah, it does. But I'm trying to think.
But when I look back,
Indian Summer of '69.
He's got it. Oh man! Yeah. Wow!
Ryan Adams. Whew.
Ryan Adams, Canadian man himself. God, you are just blowing these
Canadians. You gotta love the Canadians.
You are just blowing this up. Oh man. Let's see. On a dark Vienna highway, cool wind in my hair, the warm smell of Dudler rising up through the air.
California?
Out in the distance.
Is that right? Great Austria Hotel California.
He's got it. Oh, man.
See, it just took a couple times, and it's rolling now.
Christian Strain, you used to be the master of this game, but we may have found the master of this game. He is knocking these out. All right, so enough singing. I got to see if I can switch gears on you.
Okay.
Eric Clapton.
Okay.
Slow hand. You know Eric Clapton, right? All right. He's a fan of Robin Hood.
Okay.
But he did not shoot the deputy. What game was he playing?
He shot the sheriff of Nottingham.
He did. He shot the sheriff of Nottingham. Of course. All right. Now, Steve wants me to sing one. I am not going to sing the song, Steve. I cannot sing the song. I listened to the song about a zillion times in Power Dorm, LSU, right by the lakes. My roommate was a huge fan of this band. Oh, my God. He listened to this every single night. So I'm going to read it out for you. What is the amateur hour? Jambalaya says, you're giving out layups here. Yeah.
Come on now, Jeremy. I'm
telling you, Jambalaya, he's knocking these out. Yep. Strain, you're just going to have to type faster. So let me read this one out because I'm going to botch this one. There is no tree. Your score is leading. A distant mill. Wood on the horizon. You're placing workers out in waves. The saw moves, but I can't hear what you're saying.
I know the game, but I don't know the tie-in. At least I think I know the name. The game. The game sounds like Lignum.
God, man, he's on it.
But I can't.
He's on it.
Don't know, Chris. You got a chance, buddy, because I'm drawing blanks on the tie-in on that song.
Yeah, my problem, Steve, is that I know the main line of the song. You know, I can recall it. I can recall it and sing it, but the rest of the song, I'm just gonna botch that melody bad.
Yeah.
I just can't. And I tried to practice this morning. I cannot just pick it up. I really can't.
Yeah, I can't think of
anybody out there. Yeah, where's Jambalaya, who was saying it's amateur hour, giving up layups here?
Come on, Jeremy.
Yeah, let me hear you now, Jeremy. What you got for that one? So I'll give you the hint that it is Lignum.
Okay.
What is that? All right. Iconic 60s and 70s band. There's no tree. Your score is leading. A distant mill, wood on the horizon. You're placing workers out in waves. The saw moves, but I can't hear what you're saying. What is that? And we may have to just play the melody for you and see if I can cut it off right before then. That is
it sounds like an America song.
It's not, but
it sounds like something they would sing though.
Hello, is anybody out there?
Oh, Pink Floyd.
Yeah, I'm gonna mess that up, Steve. You're tempting me. You are tempting me, man. I know I'm gonna mess this up.
Comfortably Lignum?
That's it, Mike. Oh, he's got it. Nicely done, man. Nicely done. So, what was it? Was that nice hint from Steve there?
That was great. Thanks, Steve.
Let me mark you. I don't even know why I'm putting your name down on all these clues. You got every one, but you're just killing them. All right, let's see if we got a couple more to go. Yeah, that's right, Jeff. It is Comfortably Numb. Hello.
Yes.
Is anybody out there?
I remember that song well, and it was in The Departed, the movie that Scorsese finally won Best Director for.
Was it? I don't even remember that.
It was in The Departed.
I don't remember that one.
Awesome movie, by the way, if anyone likes Scorsese mob movies or just mob movies.
That's with Leo in it, right?
Leo and Matt Damon. Matt Damon talking like he's from Boston since he's from Boston.
Yeah, it wasn't much acting there going on. Right?
Yeah. Sounded like Good Will Hunting.
I only got a couple left. Let's see if we can get the chat room to catch up a little bit. How about this one? Working for this publisher is a board gamer's dream if I ever did see one. La da dum dum, la da dum, but na na bum dum, ra da dum, but da na bum dum, ra da dum, da na na da na da na da na da na da na.
Chance because I'm drawing a blank. I don't have any. Okay.
The reason that Steve picked this one It's not a game that you own, but it's very near and dear to your heart.
Oh my god.
I'm messing it all up, Steve. I know, but
oh my. Okay, I have
Chris
no
Strain.
idea.
Chris Strain, you need to know this song. What do you mean you don't know this song? Come on, man. Come on, man.
I haven't. It's near and dear to my heart.
Mike.
I don't own it.
Mike.
Does it?
It's really, really close to you.
It's really, really close.
You say the name every day. Every day.
Wow. Nice. Probably still gonna mess this up.
All right, Steve's given the hint. Not a game. It's a publisher name this time.
It's a publisher name this time.
You use the name every day.
I use the name every day.
Every day. You want me to keep dancing, Chris Strain?
I mean, unless it's Elf Creek Games, but that would be crazy.
It could be. It could be. Oh man, this song might be this song might be just too you gotta live in the country of rural Louisiana to know this song. Maybe that's it, Steve.
Got me.
Steve knows this song and he's from New York City. It's not what does the fox say? No, but good guess, Jesse. But it's not that.
Jesse, that song is the song that Brent's kids play all the time whenever I'm around. So
man, if Jeff doesn't know this one, I'm gonna have to give this one up, Steve. We're gonna have to say Steve got this one. Okay. All right, I'm gonna have to call it. It's Up on Elf Cripple Creek. You know that song, Up on Cripple Creek?
No, I don't.
Oh, you know what? Look, it's one of those songs that no one knows the name. But if you go back and you listen to it on YouTube, you're going to be like, oh, I know that song. I definitely know that song. So just go back and check it out later, and you might know. Right. Okay, we can't end on that one, Steve. Let's think of one more here. We're going to end on this one. Thor versus Loki in this 2-player AC/DC inspired card game.
Now, are you going to accept Thunder and Lightning Struck?
Oh, he's close. He's close. What's that?
Thunderstruck and Lightning.
That's it. Thunderstruck and Lightning. Well, I was going to say, if you didn't know that song, Mike.
That game's awesome, by the way, if you haven't played it.
You know, I've never played that. I like 2-player games, and my wife and I play a lot of them. We played Lost Cities a billion times, and everybody that's told me, "Oh, you like Lost Cities? You really need to play Thunder and Lightning."
Yeah, it's a great game. It came out the same year as Fight for Olympus.
So that's how Steve knows it. The band, Robbie Robertson, lead singer of the band, one of the singers in the band, is a Woodstock, New York guy. I didn't realize that. All right. So when I think of that, when I do think of that song, Up on Cripple Creek, it's got that just Southern rock flavor almost. But
gotcha.
Steve says
from the humming. Yeah.
Steve Rourke says, I do love that. And he's talking about Thunder and Lightning. Norse card Stratego. Fair? Yeah,
I'd agree. Another game that's like Stratego is Shadows in Kyoto, if you haven't tried that.
I haven't tried it. That's Deepwater Games.
Yes, yeah. Came over, Deepwater brought it over. It reminds me of Stratego meets Onitama.
Oh, interesting.
Which is an awesome combination.
That is, we all played Stratego, and we're all looking for a game that plays like Stratego, maybe. Summoner Wars kind of felt a little bit like Stratego, but with that ability to put out cards behind the rocks and attack other people. But, you were kind of hoping to disguise what you were going to do with your combos,
Right.
Like an upgraded one. All right. That's the Jambalaya game. I was just checking to see. I mean, you nailed almost every single one of them. Jeff and Chris each had one, but you did a fantastic job. You were worried before the show, and then you ended up knocking it out.
I was worried a little bit, but.
All right. So we talked about Atlantis Rising. Real quick, it's out on Kickstarter right now. December 5th, I think you said.
No, it ends this Friday.
Oh, this Friday. Oh, well.
This Friday. So we are in the last week. I've been getting tons of messages about stuff with stretch goals towards the end.
Well, we're going to let you get back to all those. And all right, board gamers, that's it for another episode of Gumbo Live. I want to thank my guests, Mike Hinson from Elf Creek Games. You guys, we had a great rapport when we talked about the game in the trail when it came out. I've been watching the Kickstarter for Atlantis Rising. I hope you guys do a fantastic job with that one. I mean, the campaign is doing great, but if people want to reach you about the game or about In the Trail, or maybe they want to send you a copy of Up on Cripple Creek so you can take advantage of it, how can they reach you?
Easiest way to do that is on Twitter. You can go at Elf Creek Games, or you can go you can tweet at me at mhinson, that's HINSON 1982 on Twitter. Or if you're in Facebook groups for board games, I'm active in those. So if you see my name, just be like, "What's up, Mike?" And I'll, if I see you at a convention, I'll probably want to, play a game with you and get to know you. So,
well, man, we had a fantastic time chatting with you and playing the Jambalaya game. Make sure to like our Facebook page, facebook.com/BoardGameGumbo. It helps us to get the word out about all of our upcoming guests and shows, including we got Bill Lasik coming in. He's the designer of Koi. He usually checks in on the show. He's one of the show regulars. We didn't see him tonight, so he's probably out demoing Koi. If you haven't seen it, it's from Smirk and Laughter Games. Check that out. And then following that, we've got Stephen Bonacore, the pod father himself of Stronghold Games.
That'll be fun for you.
Steve likes to come in at the end of the season and wrap it up and talk about all the games and talk about all the rest of the thing. I am BJ from Board Game Gumbo. I want to thank Mike Hinson for coming on. And Mike, until next time, laissez le bon temps rouler.
See you later, guys.